with Gary from Phoenix Perennials. We were talking succulents before, now we're talking about planting for privacy, whether you're at home or maybe, we were just saying during the break, trying to encourage those to use their patios to use the plants and the gardening. So where do we start? What do we need to consider when it comes to putting the right plant on the patio?
So, I mean, privacy is becoming more important all the time as we live in smaller and smaller places. You know, all these condos outside this building, for instance, in downtown, you're living in really close quarters with your neighbors. And sometimes you might love your neighbors, and sometimes you just might want to have some space from your neighbors. Or, you know, you might want to, just hang out, just you and your partner, and not be chatting to Chatty Cathy on the, you need the private time and you need the neighbor time. But for the private time, you need to get yourself some privacy. And so the things to think about are you going to grow in pots, or do you have some ground space to plant in? Do you need 100% privacy, or are you fine with a little bit of a see-through look? Do you need privacy just in the winter, or sorry, just in the summer, or do you also need it in the winter? Because if you need it year-round, then you need to go evergreen. But if you only need privacy in the summer, because you're only outside in the summer, your palette opens up because you can go with deciduous plants as well as options. And
you've opened up the palette for us with plenty of options here.
Yeah, and I think the take-home message is you don't have to, you don't have to rely on cedars any longer for privacy. You can get really creative and have some really cool things on your patio. You know, bamboo. So bamboo is probably one of the fastest ways to get yourself privacy because you can grow, you can get big ones and they grow fast. Keep in mind though that there are clumping bamboos and they're not all runners. So some clump and will stay in place all the time. Doesn't matter in pots, but if you have a backyard space you want to plant in the ground, there are true clumpers that will never spread and make your neighbors mad at you.
Okay.
Yeah. There are also cool yews. This one's called beanpole. Some of the yews get really wide. You think of those yew hedges around the city. This one only gets to about 8 inches to 20 inches wide, so kind of cool. There are other cool evergreen plants that you can use, different conifers, different broadleaf evergreens. This fatsia is called camouflage, so you want some privacy, you just put out your camouflage and nobody will be able to see you.
Full of blinders right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Considerations for watering, sunlight, upkeep of the plants.
There's so many different plants that you can really choose the right plant for the right place. So there are plants here that are good for shade, there are plants here that are good for full sun, so really there's tons of options to choose the right plants.
And nice color you're adding here too.
Yeah, exactly. So these, if you don't need 100% privacy and you're fine with some deciduous plants, these are dwarf maples, medium-sized maples. It'll only get to 6 or 8 feet. You can see the colors are incredible. These are some deciduous shrubs. This is red flowering currant that the hummingbirds will go crazy for right now, but it can actually make a nice little vertical wall for you as well to keep things private. You can also get some trellises. So these are vines. This is a clematis, and this is a climbing hydrangea. And so these, if you just had a pot and a trellis, these could grow up those trellises and give you some nice privacy.
And some edibles involved too.
Or how about privacy from edibles? So we're in small spaces, so why not have the plants do double time for you? Give you privacy, but also give you things that you can eat. So this is an espalier apple. It means that it's grafted and the branches are in one plane, so you can put it up against the wall, or you can put it between you and Chatty Cathy next door. And this has 3 different kinds of apples, all on the same plant. Or this one is a columnar apple. So this apple only grows to 8 feet tall and 2 feet wide. It grows like a column covered in apples. Or up front there, these evergreen bushes, these are tea plants. So this is where all of our tea comes from. Green tea, black tea, oolong tea, and they're hardy outside in Vancouver. So you could actually grow yourself a hedge of tea, which you can then harvest, cure the leaves, and then serve your guests on your patio. You can serve them your own tea.
Multi-purpose plants right here. Harvest time for something like the apples you mentioned.
So the apples you can harvest in usually August, September, and into October. Each variety will ripen at different times. Or you could do yourself a blueberry hedge. This is a blueberry plant right here. You could actually have a blueberry hedge there and be harvesting those blueberries all through July, August, and into September. So
it is a beautiful thing, Gary.
It is.
And there you see the plant right there. Phoenix Perennials is where you find Gary and all of these great creations. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Succulents and privacy, all covered. btvancouver.ca. We'll put all of this great information up on our website. Taking a break.